name is Haley and this is the House for Hosting. I wanted to throw this video together today just to give you a little how-to on building your own Christmas tree collar. I built this recently and I wasn't sure if I was going to share it or not, but I decided to go ahead and share it because it was a fun little project and a quick how-to, and so it might be something you may be interested in recreating yourself, or maybe you're just interested in watching somebody build things, because sometimes I think that that's enjoyable myself. So I have a 12-foot Christmas tree and I have not been able to find a base that covers, or excuse me, a tree collar that covers my base that's large enough. There's ones out there that say they are, and I purchased them and get them and they just don't work out. So this year I decided to take it upon myself and build my own tree collar. I went to Lowe's and I got 1x10s to create this box as just the regular base. The base of the base is what I'm trying to say. And then I'm going to add wood and trim to it to kind of dress it up some. And I would give you the measurements that I did here, but it might not be beneficial because really and truly every Christmas tree base is slightly different. I would say if you're going to do this, take your base, open it up, and then measure the length and the width of that to determine how wide your box needs to be. And then keep in mind when you assemble the box, your base needs to fit within that. So maybe go a ½ inch to an inch wider, depending on how close you want the box to be to your base. So I started out by building the box with the 1x10s, creating the 4 piece for the squares, and then I took this thin sheet of plywood. This was extra I had laying around from my faux shiplap in my living room, and I stripped it down to create smaller pieces of shiplap. I wanted it to look like it had vertical shiplap wrapped around the box, and then I'm adding trim just to kind of finish it off. For my trim pieces, which you'll see in a minute, those are actually 1x2 pieces. So to go ahead with the shiplap, I stripped it down. Each of my shiplap pieces were about 3.5 inches wide. I started attaching them in the center and worked my way out so that the side pieces, they ended up being smaller, but it was symmetrical on both sides. And then I did that completely all the way around the box. So all 4 sides got the shiplap. And I'm using a Ryobi nail gun here. It's electric, or excuse me, not electric, it's battery powered. And generally in the past I've used like an air compressor nail gun. This, I will say, was pretty easy using this nail gun, and it was very convenient that I didn't have to hook up the compressor and all that. So that definitely helped with this project. But like I said, I'm just going around and attaching all the shiplap, and then after that, I will do the trim. I did mess up. I measured and cut my trim pieces prior to adding the shiplap, not even realizing that the shiplap, even though it's such a thin piece of wood, would actually make the box a little bit longer and wider. So I had to redo that. All right, so this is where I messed up. I actually cut these corner trim pieces before I put the shiplap on. And I measured the size of the box, not thinking that this little thin wood would actually add more to it. So now, because of that, they're a little short. And that's not cool with me. So I'm going to redo it. I went and got more wood, and I'm just going to redo all the cuts so that they will fit flush. Once I had my correct measurements for my trim pieces, I went ahead and went back to the saw and made my cuts. I'm making 45-degree cuts so that they would meet together, creating 90-degree angles. The trim that goes around the base of it and the top will be cut with it sitting upright, like vertically against the back of the saw like this, which is kind of similar to if you were doing like crown molding cuts and trim pieces in that respect. And then I'm also doing an additional trim piece around the top to just kind of cover, basically to make it look smooth. You'll see at the end what I'm talking about. But when I cut that, I make those angles and those cuts with the wood laying flat on the bottom of the saw. So if you've never used a saw like this before and you haven't made these cuts, I would say these are a little bit more advanced, but really and truly, after you've done it a couple times, it's not that difficult. And then I'm continuing all the way around with my nail gun. I did have to purchase longer nails to nail through this piece of wood and through the base of the tree collar. But I'm just going around and attaching all my trim pieces and making sure that it's flush and exactly where I want it and how I like it. So you can see here it's starting to come together and it's looking good, and I'm getting closer to being done. Side note, I thought that I was going to be able to whip this project out just quick and easy one afternoon, but y'all, this thing ended up taking me a full week to get it done because, you know, that's just life. So anyways, but I will say I'm glad how it's turned out. It looks really good under my tree, and I can't wait to show it to y'all. This is what I was talking about on the top trim pieces. So see how it just gives it the finished look whenever I add that to the top. But anyways, we'll keep on going with the video here. I'm going around and adding those top trim pieces and making it just look clean and put together. And now that I have it all put together, I'm going to go through with wood filler and fill in any nail holes and any seams that I have, and then I'll sand it down and it's ready to be painted. So generally I would prime this before I painted it, but it's going to be under my Christmas tree, and although I want it to look pretty and put together, the focal point of the tree is not necessarily the tree collar, it is the actual tree. So I didn't just do all the major steps to make this completely just perfect. You know, I was wanting it to be nice and put together, but I didn't want to spend forever on it. And I had already spent longer than I really thought I was going to have to. But anyway, so I'm going through with my paint. Again, because I didn't prime it, I ended up having to do more coats. I did about 3 coats, and I just used white paint that I already had and got it done. And so this is the moment of truth where I can set it where I'm going to have my tree and take the base and see that it fits perfectly right inside, and it's ready for my tree and ready for me to decorate. So I am so happy with how it turned out. I hope that y'all have enjoyed this quick little how-to video. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit like. Let me know in the comments if you've enjoyed this and if you may try it. Until next time, bye guys.